Welcome to the mansion of midnight mysteries.
Runner's Nightmare. The village lay shrouded in the early morning fog, a thin veil that clung to the ground like a secret waiting to be uncovered. At the edge of this village, where the cobblestone path met the wild embrace of the forest, stood an old yet well-kept manor, its grandeur faded but still dignified. Set off from it, a modern tiny house gleamed, a stark contrast to the manor's time-worn charm. The garden, wild yet structured, was a riot of colors, a testament to nature's untamed beauty. Riley, a 32-year-old office worker, had made this tiny house his home. Each morning, he laced up his running shoes, determined to maintain his fitness amidst the monotony of his desk job. Today was no different, though the air felt particularly crisp, a chill that hinted at the encroaching winter. He stepped outside, inhaling the cool, damp air, and adjusted his strong glasses, steeling himself for the run ahead. Before setting off, he made his way to the manor where William and Emily resided. He knocked on the heavy wooden door, and it swung open to reveal William, a warm smile on his face, with Cooper, their golden retriever, bouncing excitedly at his side. "Morning, Riley. Everything all right?" William asked, his voice a comforting presence in the stillness of dawn. "Just the usual jog," Riley replied, ruffling Cooper's fur as the dog leapt up to greet him. With a shared understanding, Riley and Cooper set off down the familiar path toward the forest. As they jogged, the world around them was still waking up. The sun had yet to rise, and the faint light of dawn struggled to penetrate the thick fog. Both Riley and Cooper exhaled clouds of vapor into the chilly air. They reached the edge of the woods, where the trees loomed like ancient sentinels, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. But today, something felt different. As they approached a fork in the path, Cooper suddenly halted, ears perked, his body tense. Riley glanced sideways, catching Cooper's eye for a brief moment before the dog bolted down the right path, barking furiously. "Cooper! Wait!" Riley called, but the dog was already lost in the underbrush, his barks echoing through the trees. Riley sprinted after him, heart pounding in his chest. The forest was eerily quiet, the only sound the rustling of leaves in the wind. As he reached the spot where Cooper had disappeared, an unsettling silence enveloped him. The air felt thick, charged with an energy he couldn't quite place. Suddenly, a low growl rumbled from deep within the woods, sending a shiver down his spine. Riley's breath quickened as he strained to listen. The growl was followed by a series of rustles and snaps, as if something large was moving through the underbrush. A faint, bluish glow flickered in the distance, illuminating the fog with an otherworldly light. Panic surged through him, and just as he turned to call for Cooper, the dog burst from the underbrush, eyes wide with terror. Cooper collided with Riley, knocking him to the ground. The dog's usual exuberance was replaced by sheer panic, and Riley felt a surge of fear as he looked into Cooper's eyes, which were now filled with a primal dread. Without thinking, he scrambled to his feet, adrenaline propelling him forward as he followed Cooper back to the fork in the path. At the junction, Cooper stood trembling, tail tucked between his legs, glancing back toward the source of the growl. Riley's heart raced as he turned to look, but all he could see was the mist swirling ominously, the bluish glow flickering like a distant star. He felt an instinctual pull to run, and without a second thought, he took off, Cooper racing alongside him. They burst from the forest's edge, gasping for breath as they reached the safety of the open road. The chill of the morning air felt like a balm against the heat of fear coursing through Riley's veins. They slowed to a walk, both panting heavily, and exchanged a glance that spoke volumes. The woods had held something dark, something that whispered of danger. As they approached the manor, Riley's mind raced. He couldn't shake the feeling that they had narrowly escaped something sinister. He hesitated at the door, glancing back at the forest, where the mist still lingered, hiding whatever had lurked within. With a deep breath, he knocked on the door. Emily opened the door, her cheerful demeanor a stark contrast to the turmoil in Riley's mind. "Good morning. How was the forest today?" she asked, her smile brightening the dim morning light. "Just a nice, fresh morning run," Riley replied, forcing a smile as Cooper bounded toward Emily, tail wagging furiously. The dog seemed to momentarily forget his fear, leaping up to greet her, licking her hand with enthusiasm. But Riley could see the lingering anxiety in Cooper's eyes, a reflection of his own unease. "Fresh air is good for the soul," Emily said, her voice light and carefree. "You should join us for breakfast. I made pancakes." "Thanks, but I think I'll just take a shower and get ready for work," Riley said, his voice slightly strained. He felt the weight of the morning's events pressing down on him, and the thought of sitting at the breakfast table, pretending everything was normal, felt overwhelming. "All right, but you're missing out," Emily called after him as he turned to head toward his tiny house. He could hear her laughter as he walked away, but it felt distant, muffled by the thoughts swirling in his mind. Once at his tiny house, Riley closed the door behind him and leaned against it, taking a moment to collect himself. The tiny house was cozy, filled with the scent of wood and the faint aroma of coffee from the morning. He took a deep breath, trying to shake off the remnants of fear that clung to him like the fog outside. But the image of Cooper's terrified eyes haunted him. What had they encountered in the woods? He shook his head, trying to dismiss the thoughts. It was probably just a deer or some other animal, he reasoned. Yet, the growl had felt too deep, too menacing to be anything ordinary. Riley moved through his morning routine mechanically, showering and dressing, but his mind kept drifting back to the forest. He glanced out the window, the sun finally breaking through the fog, casting a warm glow over the village. It looked peaceful, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was off.